Hey everyone, it's Udwa Kapangide of Kapangide Therapy again. Thank you for watching. I am here to continue the conversation we started last week as we talked about your mental health. So last week, I basically introduced myself. I talked about Afangide therapy as a practice. I talked about the journey that led me to Afangide therapy, kind of laid a foundation for the need for mental health services, okay? We talked about how people who come to see a therapist are not coming because they're having some nervous breakdown or they're dealing with psychosis, but that in the present era, in our world today, people need someone to walk alongside them. And so what we do at Afangide Therapy is just walk alongside people as they do life. So today, I want to talk a little bit about some of the people who seek therapy and the reasons why what people give for not seeking therapy. I want to begin by saying that it takes a whole lot of mental fortitude to actually decide to seek therapy. So when someone makes the decision, I want to go see a therapist, we don't take that lightly at all. At Afangide Therapy, we actually stop and we applaud our clients who are here for the first time. One of the first questions I ask the clients is, have you ever been to therapy before? And if you were to guess, what percentage of my clients would you think have seen a therapist before? It doesn't shock me, probably won't shock you, but about 90% of my clients are first time clients. They have never seen a therapist, didn't see a therapist when they were growing up, but 90% of them walk into my office scared to death because they've never been to a therapist before. And so I started doing some research and I found out that literature shows that about 27% of Americans have ever been to a therapist. So that's about 73% of people who've never been to a therapist before. And so we don't take that lightly. We know that it's a hard decision for you to make. We know that there's something within us that makes us want to deal with our problems. We're basically private people. And we hide behind that privacy, and a lot of times we suffer in silence. So, what does it mean when you hear that 73% of Americans do not seek therapy? And incidentally, of the 27% that do, they're probably those who sought out therapy when they were children, sought out therapy, their parents made them see a therapist because maybe somebody said you have ADHD or somebody said you're having anxiety or something, but most of them sought out therapy as kids. So as people who make decisions for themselves, that percentage goes even lower. So what does that mean? Well, number one, if you've never been to therapy, don't feel bad, you're not alone. You're actually in the majority, okay? You're one of those people that think, I don't need to see a therapist. The business of living itself means you need someone to walk alongside you. But you're not alone. There are a lot of people who have not sought out therapy. So that's the first thing that I think that number means. The second thing I think it means is that more people are now seeking therapy than ever before. So people are now realizing that it's no longer okay to just focus on my physical self. It's no longer okay to just focus on my spiritual self. But that the sum total of who I am is me as a body, me as a spirit, me as a soul, me as a thinking person. For those who are Christians, the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. But whether you're a Christian or you're not a Christian, you recognize the fact that you're much more than your physical self. That your mental health determines a whole lot of the things that you're going through. And so you're not alone if you haven't sought out therapy. There's a lot of us that happen. The second thing is there are more people now looking for someone to walk alongside them as they navigate life than they have ever been before. It wasn't enough for me to find out that people are not seeking therapy, but I went deeper and I tried to find out what are the reasons that people are giving for not seeking out therapy. And you probably would have guessed this if I asked you, but the number one reason is this is stigma. People are still holding on to that stigma that if you go to see a therapy, it means there's something wrong. If you go to see a therapist, it means that you're admitting to not being able to handle things on your own. And so we live in a culture, in a society that places a lot of emphasis on being an individualistic person that can make it, being a tough person, being effective, being efficient, doing it all on your own. So why do we need somebody to walk alongside us? So that's the number one thing. There's a stigma. The only way to get rid of a stigma is to open it up, to talk about it. Young people, this present generation, the Generation Z, millennials, they are putting emphasis on their mental health much more than my generation did. But let's keep the conversation happening. Let's try to remove that stigma. The second one that people are not seeking out therapy is cost. So people are saying it is expensive. Insurance companies, well, some of them pay, but some of them only pay for a certain number of visits, a certain number of sessions. They don't pay for the whole spectrum of mental health care that I need. The danger with that is that the people who are seeking out therapy are the rich among us, those people who can afford therapy, because therapy is expensive. But at Afangide Therapy, we try to make it affordable. And so what we say is, hey, if your insurance company doesn't cover it, it's okay. Our services are $45 a session. Not because we couldn't charge more, but because our goal is to make therapy affordable for everybody. And so thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me time to talk to you a little bit. Most important thing is you are a sum total. You're not just your physical health, not just your spiritual health, but your mental health is important. Take care of all of that and you will be okay.